Can I be one of them in your?
You can do it on YouTube.
You can meet me, he says. Right.
Where
I thought about London.
That is the start. What do you mean?
We're used to in Kingsby, the base measures in the mikveh.
No, we do it in. Okay, so we're up to
I can't get away. We've got the personal color coding, but
Yeah.
other than 15 times after this.
yeah, absolutely right. No, we're going to carry on. Now, where did we get up to? The question is where we got up to. The question is. Okay, so
Someone very on the face.
right, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Did we get up to Rafuna?
I don't think. Oh, you can't.
No, it's usually one extra.
No, not aircon. No, well, the aircon was not on.
I think we got up to Rafuna, didn't we?
I don't remember. You stopped. There was a lot of talking going on, so I couldn't mark where exactly.
Oh, we didn't do the Rashbam on the Lokach Mesikra. Yeah. Okay. No, we have to go back a bit. Okay. Let's go over again. Omar Rav Nachman. Omar Rav Nachman, Omar Li Huna. This is 4 lines from the top. Rav Nachman said, Omar Li Huna said to me, Kulan Shevi Raya Rayosan Raya. All of them who bring a proof, then the proof is a proof. That means to say all of these individuals you mentioned above, the craftsmen and the Uman and the Oris and all these people, right? We don't have Chazok. If they bring a proof, then Rayosan Raya, the proof is a proof, right? This is obvious because the Rashbam says, because obviously, if you got a proof, you got a proof, right? If they got, in other words, if you got the dry cleaner or you got the tailor or whatever, they bring a proof that actually they was that they was sold, that it was sold to them. They got a star or something. Obviously they believed.
Except for the Gazan.
Right. The Mamidin Soda Biyodin, Gazan Shevirai and Riyasa Raya. That's right. The thief who brings a proof, his proof is not a proof. Vei Mamidin Soda Biyodin, you can't put the field in his hand. Right? So the Gemara asks, "My Kamash Rolam, this is not a chiddush Tonino. We've already learned it in a brisa, or I think it's a Mishnah. Lokach misikrakon, v'chazlo lokach m'balabayas mikoi botel. The person buys from a sikrakon, and then he goes and buys again from the original owner. The sikrakon is a bandit who takes it from by force, and then he goes and buys it again from the owner. The sale is bottle, the sale is nullified, because he's scared of the original thief, of the guy who stole it from him. Basically, you buy something from a bandit, a thief, a guy who holds people at knife point, right? And then you go to the person who stole it from and says, please sell it to me. He's going to sell it to you because he's scared of the other guy, right? Scared of the robber.
Where did that word sikrikon come from? You know,
So it comes from a Mishnah in Gittin.
Were these the people around the time of
I think it is the Sikari.
yes.
oh yes, that's what you mentioned.
Yeah, that's what Josephus refers to.
Secrets.
They used to hide knives in their clothes. They were ruthless
They were
people.
with curved legs. And
I think so. They were ruthless people who would stop at nothing.
Josephus.
And I never understood what their motive was. So they would kill Jews as equally as Romans.
Yeah, because they were after money at any cost. They were the mafia. They were the gangsters. They want to steal something. They don't care about the person. Right? There are people like that nowadays. Very sad, but is that one? Now, let's see the Rashbam, because we didn't really see the Rashbam last time. So the Rashbam is about 10 lines down. But Kulon, all these people we mentioned above, we don't have chazaka. If they bring a proof, a document or proof, witnesses, the Gemora says that it's obvious this. The Chiddush is the last case. Gazlan brings a proof, witnesses to the sale or witnesses to who admit to it, but they didn't see the transfer of money. Okay. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, they saw the witnesses, they saw the sale, or they saw the hodah, the admission, but they didn't see the transfer of money. Ein also raya. The proof is not a proof because Rav Kana says di lavda o delay, because not for the fact that he admitted it to him, or he had written for him a document of sale. We said before, it's no proof that the robber brings a proof, because if not for the fact that he wrote the document, he would have given him over as he would have given him over himself to the robber, whatever the head robber. But if the thief gives him money in front of witnesses, then his proof is a proof. As Rav Huna says later on, the Omer says, in other words, Rashbam is giving a bit of a twister here. He's saying that if the robber gave him money, right, in front of Adam, that means to say, even though he's a gazlan, there are witnesses that he handed over money. So he's a thief, but they're witnesses that he paid for it. So then the din is, the proof is a good proof. Ked Rav Huna, as Rav Huna says later on, if he hangs him up and suspends him and he sells him, it's a good sale. It's a good sale, right? Now that is Rav Huna, very interesting din. Rav Huna holds that you're going to string someone up, and it's a good sale. A bit surprising. It's under duress. The Gemora is going to talk about that later on. The Gemora is going to ask, how can it be that the sale is a valid sale when it's under duress? But even though Rav Bibi later on fits this case in Afilu b'shen nosan moes agazlan the nigzal, even when the gazlan gives money to the nigzal, right? Rav Bibi disagrees with this din of Rav Huna, and he holds that this din of not believing the proof of the gazlan is even when money transfers hands from the gazlan to the nigzal.
Again, the nigzal is the one he's stolen from.
Yeah. And the gazlan is the thief.
I didn't catch that. I went to the side.
Basically, not everyone agrees to Rav Huna. Okay? Not everyone agrees to Rav Huna. The machlokas. Some say, no, even if there's money, even if money changes hands, even if the gazlan pays money, the halacha is he's not believed, right? So Rav Bibi says, even when the gazlan gives money to the nigzal, and even so the gazlan doesn't acquire it, right? Yeah. Okay. We say it on in the Gemara. Rav Bibi is a statement of an Amora And Rav Huna does not worried about statements of an Amora. And we hold like Rav Huna in later on Gemora, the halachas like Rav Huna. So this is really in brackets this Rashbam, most of this Rashbam. Basically, what he's telling us is as follows: this din of if you bring a proof, if the thief brings a proof, right, that he owns it, what's his proof? Yeah. There are witnesses that there's a star or something that you sold it to me, right?
And they saw the money.
Or there are witnesses, or there are witnesses that saw him admit in front of him that he sold it to me, right? And then the halach is he's not still because he's a gazlan, he's not believed. Because of course you're only going to admit you sold it to him because you don't want him to chop your head off, right? However, the Rashbam says this will not apply if there are witnesses that he paid for the item. And the reason is because even though there's a machlokes between Rav Bibi and Rav Huna as to whether or not it's a valid sale in the event that money changes hands, Rav Bibi says that even if money changes hands, it's not a valid sale.
Because of the intimidation.
Yeah. But Rav Huna says it is. Even though there's intimidation present, if you pay for it, you get it. Even if it's under duress. I know that's difficult to understand. The Gemora will talk about how that works later on, right? So Rashbam is just adding in brackets that we're following here Rav Huna. And because we follow Rav Huna, the qualification we have to make on this Gemara, which says that if the thief brings a proof, his proof is not believed, the qualification we have to make on that is only if money doesn't change hands. But if there are witnesses that the thief actually paid for the goods, and even if he is a thief, he is a known crook, the halacha is that he is entitled to keep the goods. It wasn't a good thing that he did it. He wasn't allowed to do it, but halachically, he does take ownership.
He might have done it in a nice way, though. I mean,
he does use the phrase. He does use the phrase "tulu." He does say that though. He does say "tulu."
But okay, even if okay, no, it's strange.
Hung him up from a tree. Not so nice. Not so good. Not so great.
It's all sorts of halachas about not oppressing somebody.
Yeah. Oppression. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All sorts of
That
things.
seems possible.
I'm afraid that the halacha is that we have to look at we have to be impassionate. We have to be dispassionate. Yeah. We have to be dispassionate. We have to be dispassionate. The Gemara goes through this, and the Gemara asks, why should it be a valid sale, etc., etc. The conclusion of the Gemara is it's a svara. It's a svara. The logical argument is that because he was forced to sell, he decided to sell it properly.
Is the question about, whether it was a full market price or not? Does that come into? Presume that must come into it.
It's not. No. I think that's a question. It must be a case where there's no oinor, there's no like undercharging or overcharging, because otherwise you could have a recourse to say the sale is invalid. That's all the Gemara's involved with Tzia, right? You can, if he didn't pay the correct value or within the brackets of what's considered to be a fair
land as well.
Yeah.
No, there's no overcharging for land. But anyway, let's just stick to this case. The conclusion of the Gemara is that there are two reasons why it's a valid sale. It's the combination of two factors together that make it a valid sale. Number one, the fact that he was being oppressed. Paradoxically, that's a reason to make it a valid sale. Even though he didn't do a nice thing and he was a gangster and he was a bandit and everything else, but the svara is that because you were under duress, you agreed to it to get out of that position of stress.
There is a logic.
You don't want to be in that position of stress. Your get out of jail free card is to agree. Again, it's not a nice situation. Plus, there's the fact that you did pay for it. You received money. So you received money and you were being oppressed. So we say there's a logical argument is that you actually agreed to it.
You really wanted it.
You really wanted it.
Like the Huffing giving again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this would apply in English, though. I don't think so.
No.
So we have to understand how it would work, because under duress, you'd have recourse to the.
Is there any recourse on that? But we're coming to it later. I don't want to jump the gun.
We are coming to it later. I don't think there is, but there's, as I say, we're coming to it later on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of discussion. Here. Is it specific where Toras talks about? Is it where he strings him up or doesn't string him up? Is it only when he strings him up? Yeah. Okay.
If you didn't have that, it'd be much easier to claim that I didn't mean to sell it and rescind it.
Well, that is the flip side of the argument. I was under duress. It does allow for valid sales to be, that's right. To avoid it. I didn't really mean it. I didn't know. I didn't realize. Didn't think.
Cooling off period.
We don't have that.
It's interesting to have a cooling off period. In law by law, you have one, don't you? You have to have 14 days, isn't it?
If it's a consumer.
It's the consumer. What's it called? The consumer
Credit.
credit act. I remember doing that in law school. Not law school. My law degree. Yeah. Consumer credit, consumer rights. That means even if they don't specify, I think it's a legal requirement, isn't it? Applies to any sale of goods.
No, I think it's just if there's a consumer finance selling to
Yeah.
credit, so you're giving goods on credit and some extent credit to the buyer.
So like a new phone contract, that type of stuff.
If you buy a car with cash, there's no cooling off period. But if you took an interest
PCP loan or something like that.
I think so. I'm not mixing.
Yeah. Okay. So carries on the Rashbam. You can't put the field. He doesn't get the field, and neither does anyone who comes from him. Could go in Ben Gazlan or Lekech Megazlan, the son of a thief, or someone who buys from a thief. All the successive generations of thieves, right? Do not get it. I mean, we talked about the grandson. That was another sugya. But the point is that he's not believed, right? The point is because Now, a proof is not a proof. What is Rav Huna's chiddush when he tells us that a thief and someone who buys or inherits from a thief, his proof is not a proof and he doesn't acquire it? What's his chiddush? Tanina, we've learned this din in the Gemora in Gittin in Perek HaNizokin. What does the Gemara say there? Lokach misikrikon. This means migazlon nochri. He says they were non-Jewish Gazlonim, who used to kill people for matters of money. They were going around trying to get money, extortionists, and they were killing people. He says them say and he says, and take this land and leave me alone. That's how you get them off your back. They're coming with their knives, you give them your land, goodbye. Okay? This gift is not a gift. Why? Even according to one who says that he suspends him and sells it, the sale is the sale, right? That means Rav Huna, that we said that the sale is a valid sale. If he did string him up, but he actually paid money, that is only if but we say yohav lo have a matana. But if he hangs you up and then he forces you through hanging you up to give a gift, that's not a gift. That's Svara of that's not bad. The Svara of Rav Huna is specific based on the fact that you actually got paid.
You see that? Yeah.
You got the money.
It's real consideration.
Correct. And therefore there's a logical argument to be made that actually you conceded. Wasn't nice, wasn't pleasant, you don't want to repeat the experience, you'd rather go and normally buy things in a shop rather than hanging from a tree. At the end of the day, you agree to it, right? Now the Gemara explains in Gittin what the story was, and I said this is just before that Gemara about Kamsa Bar Kamsa. Gimel Gezerus Gozru, they decreed 3 decrees in the time of the Romans, in the Roman persecutions. What were those 3 decrees? Number 1, Komaisa, the first decree was Kol Delo Kotzil Liktil, anyone who doesn't kill should be killed, because they wanted to encourage them to kill people. Mitziosa, the middle decree, the second one was Kol Dekotzil Laisi Arbo Zuzi, anyone who kills has to bring 4 zuz. I think it means he has to pay 4 zuz per head. I think. In Basraisa, the latter decree maybe means he gets 4 zuz. Basraisa, the latter one, called the kotel liktelinhu. The latter one was anyone who kills, they shall kill him. So the latter one was the latter one is worse than the other 2, right? Understand? So the latter one is not it's a flip of the side of the other 2. The latter one is saying if you kill, you get killed. What?
I'm not sure I understand these scenarios.
I don't understand what's going on here. Sorry.
1 second, let's just look it up.
Someone gets
Hold it over.
Yeah.
Well, that's very popular.
Well, that was what was going on. They were hired, they were being paid.
It's like
They were very, very nervous, the Romans. That's one of the reasons that they panicked about everything. They didn't like the numbers. That's why they killed Yoshki, the Romans. You know that.
Why?
Why?
Can we follow?
Yeah, because it was Pesach. At Pesach time, the Romans got incredibly nervous of anyone who might foster rebellion. There were hundreds of thousands of people, maybe more, millions inside Yerushalayim. They got exceptionally nervous of a January the 6th type event, storming the capital. They got very nervous, right? They got very, very nervous, the Romans.
We killed these people.
It means that if someone gets up and says he's the Messiah, they're not going to take chances, right? It's true. That's what the historians say. That it's not a thing. Yeah, the historical context was Pesach. The Romans are very nervous of Pesach. Sukkot and Pesach, because Yerushalayim is massively overcrowded, full. No one can move anywhere. Suddenly, someone gets, oh, there's a ruckus going on. Don't take chances with this guy. Yeah. Different shift for different time.
Yeah.
Now the Gemara says
there's a fundraiser a bit. Sorry to interrupt. There's a fundraiser for Kibbutz Berry last night. You know, it's like this.
I was there. Oh.
Yeah, and they were reading letters, and they had all the Herzl and Churchill. They also went to a Roman like 70 AD. They quoted him saying, Jews have this very strange custom where they pay money, they go up to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
But we've decided to let them go ahead with it anyway.
Oh, that's funny.
It's quite interesting.
Where was the fundraiser?
Where was it?
Yeah.
It was in the theatre in the Haymarket.
Okay.
Do you know the rates?
I don't know. A
Mm.
lot.
Very good. Okay, so Rabasi says, Gimel Gezeres Gozru. They decreed 3 decrees. Zero Kamaisa, called it a Kotel Lekteluhu. Anyone who doesn't kill, that means a Yisrael, where he finds a Jew, will be killed. So that's an incentive. Kill. Anyone who does not kill is killed. That means if anyone is, the Romans told their mercenary followers, anyone who encounters a Jew and doesn't kill the Jew will themselves get killed. That's a pretty good way of. There's all the persecutions of the Jews around the time of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash.
Wow.
So if someone's a Jew and doesn't kill a Jew?
No, a non-Jew. They're Roman mercenaries.
So they're told
it's talking about Harugi HaMelchama. It's talking about the time of when they were
the Jewish wars.
When the Jews Mechemes Titus wrote to Jerusalem. You read the beginning of Simon Sharma's book, Jerusalem? Have you seen the book? Have you seen the book? Right. So Simon Sharma's book, Jerusalem, the prologue to that book has an incredibly kind of visceral account of what the Churban was like, the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. It was unbelievable. There were corpses hanging all over the hills of Yerushalayim on crucifixes, like all around. It was. You can't imagine the bloodthirstiness of the Romans, right? So they had these decrees. The first one was anyone who did not kill would be killed. Metzios, the middle one was called a kotil. Anyone who kills,
Sounds like a PA.
Yeah. Called a kotil, laisi arba zuzi. I think it means he gets money. Has to bring 4 zuz. I think that's what it means. Rashi doesn't explain.
Part of the thing is they have to pay it. Sounds like you get a bounty, isn't it?
Yeah. Then the last one is Basraisa. The last one was called a kotel likteluhu. Anyone who kills is themselves killed.
We'll see that.
I think it means the Jew.
But we're just saying they're encouraged to kill.
No, but then there was a third decree where they seemed to rescind it a bit. Because the third decree was after the period of persecution ended. Right? There was a time when it ended. It didn't last forever. Yeah. Yeah, and then the middle one, Tosfos Rid says, Kol Dakota, anyone who kills, Nesiv Lei Dalazuzi, which means he gets 4 zuz. And the point is like this, is that they weren't persecuting them in the same way all the time. The first two decrees, there was an incentive to kill. The first incentive to kill was in the first level of decree, because if you don't kill, they themselves are going to get killed. So obviously they're going to try and kill. And the second one was, if you kill, you get paid for zuz. So obviously you're also going to want to kill. So for those first two decrees, it's clear that people are going to want to part with their money genuinely. That's part of the logic of Rav Huna. Why? Because they want to save their souls. They want to save themselves. They genuinely part with their goods. It's under duress, but they definitely want to part with their goods, right? However, the third decree was not like that. The third decree, they rescinded it. On the contrary, anyone who kills will be killed. So he's not worried he's going to get killed. So even if the guy strings them up from a tree and forces him to part with his money, he doesn't really mean it, because he knows he can take him to Beis Din later. Oh, so he doesn't part. We're not talking about money. We're talking about not money. We're talking about with a gift, right? Do you understand?
No, I can't understand that last case.
Because it's not death.
The last case is the opposite.
It's not a life death.
The Rashbam explains. Look at the Rashbam. A line after the square brackets.
Yeah.
There are three decrees, right? The first one and the middle one, the first two decrees, since the Nochrim kill the Yisrael, that's what they do. Agav say Gomer umakne. Because he's under duress, he's being forced, he will definitely conclude and decide to be makne, to transfer ownership, right? You understand? Because he's being forced. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it, right? But he's being forced to do so. Yeah, because again, why? Because he knows there's a risk of his life, because there's an incentive for them to kill the Jews, otherwise they get killed themselves, or in the second degree they get paid for zuz if they kill the Jews. So therefore he's interested in parting with his goods so he gets saved, because he knows his life is at risk. Does that make sense? But Basra, so the latter case, Omri, they say like this: today we'll let him take it. We'll let the bandit take the land. Tomorrow, I'll take him to court. Therefore, the Sikra coin does not acquire it. So Halo Nosan was because he hasn't given money. He has just taken it, he's stolen it for nothing, for free. Okay? So therefore, this din of the Sikra coin is going to tell us effectively the same din as our Gemora. That when a person is in a situation of duress, okay, the halacha is that they say and he says and he parts with his goods, or he parts with his land or whatever. He doesn't acquire it. Because he hasn't given money. If you give money, that's something else. You give money, that's Rav Huna's din. We assume you genuinely wanted to change ownership, right? But if you don't give money, you just give it away, right? You're not giving it away permanently. You expect to get it back, right? So therefore, the halacha is, it might have been different when there was an incentive for them to kill the Jews or receive payments for killing. Because then, even if you give it to him without getting any money back, you're just desperate to get him off your back because you just to run away with your life. But in a situation where they themselves will be killed if they kill, you know that he's not going to kill you. You're not worried he's going to kill you. And therefore, if you give it away, you don't really mean to give it away. You think, listen, I don't want to cause this guy who looks nasty. I don't want to meet him in a dark alley. So I'll give it to him now. And next, I'll take him to court the next day. I'll get it back. Right?
But he could still be trying to rough you up with him.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you know you're going to get it back. Exactly. You know you want to get, and therefore the Sikra coin, therefore the Sikra coin doesn't acquire it.
There's no use.
He hasn't paid. He took it for free. Someone who buys from him as well, doesn't acquire it. Why? Because land cannot be stolen. And it's still in the possession of the original owner. So it makes no difference if someone then bought it from the Sikra coin, right? Someone bought it from the Sikra coin. Doesn't make a difference. You can't steal land. That's halacha. You can't steal land. Land stays where it is. Doesn't transfer ownership through this in this way. And therefore, the halacha is it stays in the ownership of the original owner. Even if the person goes and rebuys it from the person the Sikra coin took it from, shekosav lo shtar could have a to come on. Because, in other words, he wrote a document for him, as we explain later on, either a gift or a document of sale without money. Because if he gave money to the owner, Connor, he acquires it. Because even the Sikra himself would acquire it in Nosan Lo Mois Nigzal if he gave money. As we said, money transferring hands is a different story. Because money transferring hands to the Nigzal, that means you acquire it, right? But because there was no money, the halacha is it remains in the possession of the original owner. That means even if you go and that means even if you go and buy it back from the original owner, right? The halacha is it makes no difference. It makes no difference. It doesn't make a difference. That you don't take ownership of it. Yeah. And this is clear later on in the Gemora. With regarding the case of Rav Huna, where it talks about the case of where he strings them up and makes them sell. Even so, the buyer does not acquire it. Right? Because the fear of the Sikra coin, he transferred ownership to the buyer. Since the proof, the Hachim Mochel is going on the sale. If there was a sale, doesn't acquire it. Because the fear of the Sikra coin, that's why he transferred ownership to the buyer. That means the original owner. Since the proof of the one who buys from the thief is not a proof, even when he goes and buys it back from the original owner as well, how much more so? How much more so double that the proof of the thief himself is no proof. Because of fear, he wrote the document, and he never received any money from the thief. The name of Zvine, that we should say the sale is a good sale. In other words, he never actually received any money, any money from the thief. That means the person who bought it. That means to the original owner. Yeah. So all that the Rashbam is, it's a very long Rashbam, but you really can distill it down to something relatively straightforward. It's not that complicated. The case of the Sikra coin is, you have to distinguish in two cases. One is a case where money changes hands. We're not dealing with that, right? That's Rav Huna later on. We have this special din where if he actually paid for it, even under duress, it changes hands. Leave that. We're not talking about that. We are talking about a case where there was no money that changed hands, and he gave it as a gift. He took it, or he gave it as a gift to the thief.
Right, so
yeah, whatever. So we say all of that is no proof. All of that is no proof, right? That means the thief can come along and wave a piece of paper. You signed it away to me. Makes no difference. You signed it away under duress. The Gemara's question is that there's nothing new in Rav Nachman in the name of Rav Huna telling us this din, because that is the din of the Mishnah. That is the din of the Sikra coin. The Mishnah says in Gittin, if you buy from a Sikra coin and then you buy it back from the person whom the Sikra coin nabbed it from, and the Sikra coin took it without getting money, without giving money, because again, we're not dealing with money, right? So the Sikra coin took it. Ruvain is a Sikra coin, and Ruvain stole it from Shimon. Okay, so Shimon was the original owner. Ruvain stole it. The Mishnah says if you go lokach misikra v'chazav lokach mibalabayit, You go along and you buy it from the thief. You buy it, you pay money, good money for it. And then you go and buy it back from the original owner. So you don't pay money, sorry. No money.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, sorry, no money.
Which one's no money?
Our whole case. Both of them.
So the thief gifts it to his friend.
Yeah. Yeah. You take it from the thief, and then you go back and take it from the balabayas. The halacha is,
Without paying the bar.
without paying either of them. Okay? It's no proof.
Why is the thief stealing it and giving it away?
Why is there a half a minute that there is a proof in that situation?
Why is there a half a minute that you should why is there a half a minute that he should be take ownership? Because he's got Aiden that you wrote a shtar mechira to him. So it does fly in the face of every other scenario. In every other scenario, we say, right, that although the evidence is stacked against you, if you are an uman, you're a craftsman or you're a sharecropper, the evidence of you claiming ownership is stacked against you because you have a business relationship. That's why you're looking after the item. That's what you're doing, right? However, if you can bring proof that he wrote a shtar mechira, that he was selling it to you, then you take ownership. The exception is the thief. Because even if the thief has a piece of paper, it's all because of fear. And the Gemara's question is very simply, that's not a chiddush. It's in Gittin. The Mishnah says that in Gittin. The Mishnah says, if you take it from a bandit, it's a big chiddush, right? Even if you also go back to the original owner the bandit took it from, and you produce a piece of paper from him as well, where he writes in it, yes, I give it over to you, it's all yours. Why? The Mishnah says, it doesn't make a difference, because not only was there duress when the bandit took it, but the person the bandit took it from, right? Yeah. Is also acting under duress because he's scared of the original bandit, and therefore he verifies.
He won't say it's.
He won't say it's mine.
And you're taking advantage of that.
Yes, you're taking advantage because you waving the piece of paper.
Why does the buyer from the secret or the Gazla need to do that? He's got it.
What do you mean?
The bandit sold it to him.
Giving it to him as a gift.
The secret coin is given what? The secret coin is given a gift to the owner, right? The secret coin is given a gift to the original.
To
the claimant.
To the claimant. Yeah. The secret coin gave this item as a gift. No, he was given it as a gift.
Under duress.
Yes. And the halacha is, we say that because no money changed hands, you never meant it. You had no intention of being a valid sale. The next day you're going to take him to court. Now, meanwhile, before you managed to take him to court, someone else came along. No, I'm just someone else came along, okay, and took it from the secret coin. He said to the secret coin, please, Mr. Secret Coin, can you gift me some land? And he says, okay, here you go. Yeah. The halacha is that you don't acquire it. Why don't you acquire it? You say that you went back to the person he originally took it from. And he said, fair and square, I've got a piece of paper that says he's happy with this. He also sells it to me. He also gives it over to me. It's got a shtar. The answer is no, it's all because of the fear of the secret coin that he's doing it. Okay? Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Do you understand that the situation? All we've done is basically said the Mishnah Gittin tells us the same din. The Mishnah Gittin tells us that if you have a gazlan and no money changed hands, the fact that you got a piece of paper which tells you that the secret coin sold it to you, it doesn't help you, right? It doesn't help you. Again, the real proof is from the original owner. Because the Mishnah there says, you go back to the original owner, who's not a thief, and he signs a piece of paper that you own it, right? And you wave that piece of paper, hey, the original owner sold it in fair and square. No, he's only doing it because he's scared. Similarly, in our case, right, if the Gazlan waves a piece of paper that says, it's true I'm a thief, that day he gave it to me, and I'll show you there are Eidim that say there's a shtar. Okay, because he signed the shtar because he was terrified for his life. That's why he signed the shtar. Right? Understand? Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's very simple. Even though we say, if already you say that the person who bought it from the thief would do that because he's scared of his life, how much more so when you're dealing with the thief himself, you're going to do it because you're scared, right? You're going to sign the piece of paper. The Gemora says, therefore, answers the Gemora, "Fukim the Rav." It's coming to exclude the din of Rav. Rav says, Rav says, that means Rav Huna is coming to tell us to go against the din of Rav. Rav says, this only applies when he says, go and acquire it. Make a chazlok and acquire it. With a document you acquire it. Shmuel comes to tell us like Shmuel the Omer says, even with a document he doesn't acquire, until he writes achrayas nechosim, he writes a guarantee. Let's see the Rashbam explains this. It's the last narrow line before he gets wide. Rav Huna is coming to exclude the din of Rav. To Omar Rav says the Lord Mishnah. Rav says on that Mishnah, lo shanu that din of the secret coin, it only applies when he goes. We only say that when he goes and rebuys it from the balabayas, mitchoy botel, we say the sale is nullified. It only applies only when he says in front of witnesses, lech chazik ukni, go and form a chazaka and acquire it. Okay. But he did not receive money in front of witnesses. The name was Vinez come on, so that we should say the sale is a sale, as we say later on. There was no money that changed hands. He just said, the owner just said, that means the original owner that the thief took it from, just says, go ahead, you take it, right? Go make a chazaka. And also, there was no document that the owner wrote to the buyer. But if he wrote a shtar for him, then he definitely was makne to him. Also, the Gaznid brings a proof even in a shtar. His proof is not a proof. Shmuel, like Shmuel says, even if it's in a document, he doesn't acquire it because he only did it because of the fear of the secret coin.
Shmuel argues with Rav.
Yeah, Rav Huna is basically coming to tell us that we follow Shmuel, not Rav. Yeah. Rav says that this din of if you go back to the original owner that the secret coin stole it from, and you say, "Excuse me, can you validate the sale? I want to buy it for you. I want you to give it to me as a gift or whatever it is." Or you write a shtar, and he writes a shtar. Sure, no problem. Rav says no. In that case, that's fair and square. Once you've got documentation, documentary evidence, that's it. You keep it. We definitely. Shmuel says no. Even if there's a document, we don't believe it because it was all under duress. And Rav Huna is going to tell us we go like Shmuel, not Rav, because that's what he's talking about. Whether there's a document, that's the case we're going to say he's talking about.
Rav's probably trying to uphold the integrity of stars.
Could be.
Basically, you don't know who's.
Yeah, you have to take prima. What's it called? Prima facie. You have to take it as genuine, bona fide. No, you have to take it as a
bona fide purchase of a bank.
Meaning, if you got a shtar, it's a bona fide shtar. Why should you think it's something else? Right. Okay. Even with the shtar, he doesn't acquire it until he writes achrayas nechosim. See, Shmuel has a case when, even according to Shmuel, when it won't work, when it will work. If the original owner, that means the person who the secret coin stole it from, because all this is going on the mission over there, well, that's our starting point, right? In Gittin, at least that, right? Writes a shtar, and in that shtar he writes, I guarantee my property. That's achrayas nechosim. My property will guarantee this sale, this gift of this land. In other words, if the guy takes it away from you, you have recourse to claim my land. That's called a guarantee. So that a person wouldn't do unless it was a genuine sale.
Yeah. He's a third party.
No, he was the original owner.
Who's the guarantor?
No, his own land.
His own
land. If you go so far as to write in the shtar that in the event that you lose this property, you can come back to me. Yeah, that is a clear proof that you actually genuinely were selling it, even according to Shmuel. Okay.
But that's really hard to understand the restaurant. If it's duress, it's duress. If you can duress someone out of that piece of land, you can duress them out of all their assets.
No, what we're saying is,
if it's a light situation.
No, but what we're saying is that a person would not give a guarantee to it unless it was genuine.
Questions why isn't it?
Unless he genuinely meant it.
A person's threatened with their life. We're talking about mortal danger.
Yeah.
Why should it matter which star they write in that situation? I mean, someone came to me and said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
give me one of your properties or all of your properties. You know, it's like your money or your life. It's not well, it's only some of my money. It's not all my money. You know,
Yeah. So it's
hard to understand.
It could be because we're not sure exactly how much danger his life is in. This is really a perceived danger. You know, the Sikracone stole it from you. The bandit stole it from you, right? You backed up the thing by basically when the guy Sikracone sold it to someone else, Levi walks up to your door and says, I realized that I bought this from Joe the thief. By the end of the day, I know that Joe the thief nicked it from you. And I'm worried that you're going to come knocking on my door tomorrow and saying, hey, stolen goods. So please write a star for me that you also give it to me. Okay?
Yeah, that's the case.
Yeah, that is the case. Now, the point is,
supposition.
it is a bit of suppositions there, but if you went so far as in that document to actually write, and not only am I verifying and validating the sale, but I'm even guaranteeing all my property. Remember, he's not the thief.
This is not the thief. I'm saying this is not the thief.
No.
He's not a scary guy. He's a nice, friendly guy.
Yeah, he's taking advantage of it.
So if he's scared, he would just write it out. But to actually write and guarantee, then that's a proof that
He's taking advantage of the original evidence.
Yes, he is. But the point is that if it was the thief himself, that might be different.
It's a perceived threat rather than an immediate.
Yeah.
In that situation, people wouldn't go so far.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense. No?
There's a logic that seems a bit perverted.
No, there's a logic. Let's just finish off the Gemara. Rabbi Bibi Messiah Bashmei Rav Nachman. Rabbi Bibi concluded it in the name of Rav Nachman. That means to say, the statement that Rav Nachman said, our original statement we started with, Rav Nachman said, Huna said to me, all of them will bring a proof. The proof is a proof, yeah, except for the Gazlan. He concluded it in the name of Rav Nachman, Karka ein loy, avol mois yesh loy. He doesn't get land, but he does get money. Says the Rashbam, Rabbi Bibi Messiah, end of the third line and the wide lines. Rabbi Bibi Messiah, Bahom Il Sadom, Rav Nachman, Omali Huna, this statement that Rav Nachman said, that Huna said to me, Mishmeid Rav Nachman, in the name of Rav Nachman, Shaya Mosif Rav Nachman, Dovaz Emidaitoi. Rav Nachman added on this matter of his own accord. Miu, however, Rav Huna lo sriole haito sefta. Rav Huna did not hold this edition, Kid come on. Bishmaitin, as we say later on in our sugya, wherever there is a giving of money, wherever money transfers hands, Rav Huna holds, as we said, it's a good sale. He wasn't going on the statement. Rav Bibi was not going on the statement of Rav and Shmuel when he finished off in the name of Nachman with this edition. He wasn't going on Rav and Shmuel. In the Gemora Gittin, where it talks about the Machlokas Rav and Shmuel, Rav Bibi isn't mentioned there. So Rav Bibi is nothing to do with the Gemora Gittin. Rav Bibi is in our Gemora, right? Rav Nachman said in the name of Rav Huna that a Gazlan who brings a proof, it's no proof. Why? Because there's a Gazlan. So he waves a piece of paper, the guy sold it to you. Of course he sold it to you. He's worried for his life. That was the din that we started off with.
Yeah.
Right? Rav Bibi said a different twist to it in the name of Rav Nachman. His twist was that Karka ein loy, carries on the Rashbam, legazla, commercial marnu, ein mamid and soda biyodo. The Gazlan doesn't get any land. That's what we said. You don't put the field in the hand of the thief. Okay? Avol mois, but money should not stand loya Gazlan the nigzal bidmei karkazu that the Gazlan gives to the nigzal for the value of this land. Yesh loy shiachzirim loya nigzal. The nigzal, the one it was stolen from, okay, has to give it back to the thief. And we don't find the thief to lose his money. You understand? Now, Bibi adds something on him. He says, in a scenario where the Gazlan waves a piece of paper that says, hey, you sold me the land. The din is, that's not enough proof for you to get the land, because obviously he sold you that and he's scared of his life, right? And let's say money changed hands. Let's say that the Gazlan actually paid for it fair and square. Bibi says, in that case, we don't fine him to make him lose his money. The thief can get his money back. If he actually did pay money, he can get his money back. He loses the land, but he gets his money back. So
If you want,
goes, isn't got a choice. He's going to lose the land anyway. A thief is going to lose the land anyway. Because we say you sold it under duress.
well, if someone takes based it, but they're not.
Whatever, he's going to lose the land. But Rabbi Birnbaum says he gets his money back.
That's an interesting point because he's a governor. You know, probably stolen.
Maybe. We don't find the Gazan to lose his money. The Shamina Mihacha, said Rashbam, we see from here, that Rabbi Birnbaum holds what? Sliuhu v'zovin, lavzvin is vin. It's quite clear from this. Rabbi Birnbaum holds that if you string someone up from a tree and you force them to sell, it's not a good sale. Come on, Rav Huna, let's take Rabbi Birnbaum. And that's what we mean later on, that Rav Huna does not hold the Rabbi. You have to understand what's going on here, right? The whole setup of Rav Birnbaum would never exist, according to Rav Huna. Rav Huna says, if the Gazlan parts with money, he gets it. So we said, right? Rav Huna says, if the Gazlan pays for it, strings him up and pays for it fair and square, he gets it. Obviously, Rav Birnbaum doesn't hold of that. Because Rav Birnbaum says, in the event that the Gazlan parted with money, the halacha is, give him back the money. You get your land back. But, hold on a second. The Rav Huna doesn't start. If he parted with money, he gets it. Exactly. So it's inconsistent. So clearly, this is how you see, says Rashbam. But Rav Birnbaum does not hold a Rav Huna. Okay? Right? Which is okay, but that's the din. That's what Rav Birnbaum holds. Look at the Gemora says Rav Birnbaum he doesn't get the land, but he gets his money back. But when is this? Yeah. When is this? It's only when the witnesses say in front of us he counted out the money. Yeah. But if the Eidim simply say in front of us, the person whom it was stolen from admitted to the thief that he received money, or they wrote that in the shtar, in that case, he doesn't get any money back. Rav Kana says, Domar, Rav Kana, we came across this before. Rav Kana says, he loved Oidile, had he not admitted it, have a mum to him, he would have taken him and his donkey to the chief bandit. This qualification at the end is very straightforward, right? It's only if the witnesses saw the money change hands. Then Rabbi Birnbaum says, you get your money back. Let's say the witnesses didn't see anything, but the witnesses come along and say, yeah, we saw him admit that he received the money. That's not proof. Because of course he's going to admit that he received the money because he doesn't want to get away with his life.
Yeah.
So the Gazan can't get money back because maybe there was no money. Right? Let's see the Rashbam. But when does he get money? This when the witnesses say before Neinu, in front of us, the Gazan counted out the money to the thief, to the person he was stolen from. He gave him the money. Or they wrote in the document, we saw that he gave him the money. And we saw that money transfer hands. The mission Pachad, the Sikragain, because of the fear of the Sikragain, the Gazlan, right? Lo Misadi, because of Eidim Shikra. They're not going to write because of the scared of the bandit, right? The Gazlan, they're not going to testify false, they're not going to write false testimony. Okay? In other words, if they said that we saw money change hands, and they wrote that in the document, or they testify it clearly, we saw the money change hands, then the halacha is you get your money back, says Rabbi Birnbaum. Because then, because the Eidim are not going to lie, the Eidim are not going to lie because they're scared of the thief. That's too far. You understand? But let's say the witnesses say in front of us, he admitted it. He admitted he admits they received the money. Or they wrote in the Shtar Mechira, and this is what he said to us, be witnesses for me that I received money from him. And I sold it to him. In that case, we don't return the money to the thief. As Rav Kana says, this is all the conclusion of the statement of Rabbi Birnbaum, the issue of Rabbi Birnbaum, right? Basically, what Rav Kana is saying, sorry, not Rav Kana, what we're saying in the Gemora is, it's a qualification to Rabbi Birnbaum. Rabbi Birnbaum holds, not like Rav Huna. As you'd say, Paul, it's more straightforward, Rabbi Birnbaum's halacha. Rabbi Birnbaum holds, the din according to Rabbi Birnbaum is that if you string someone up from a tree and you force them to sale, it's not a valid sale. What happens?
You reverse out.
You reverse it back, right? So he get his money back, the thief, but he's got to give the land back, right? There's a qualification to that. When does the Gazlan able to retrieve his money? Only if it's clear that he actually did part with his money. So the witnesses testify that we saw that money change hands, or they write in the Shtar Mechira, yeah, that the money changed hands. Because we don't suspect the witnesses of lying. If they said the money changed hands, we believe it changed hands, right? But let's say the witnesses say, we didn't see anyone change hands, but in front of us, he admitted he received the money. Or he instructed us to write a Shtar Mechira that said, be witnesses for me that I received £500 for my field from Mr. Gazlan. No. That's no, because then the witnesses are not lying. They could have been the wool was pulled over their eyes.
Yeah.
Could be there was no money that changed hands. So the witness is not lying. You understand? They're writing in the document, he instructed us to say X, Y, Z. Right? Instructed us to say X, Y, Z. It's a bit like affidavits. You do this stuff, right? And I as a solicitor. What? Okay. In affidavit is where we require sometimes people come to the Beis Din and we require them to sign an affidavit in front of a solicitor that they've never been married before, for example, right? Now the solicitor doesn't know whether or not they have or haven't. Well, you're relying on their own integrity, and that they would not. And there's perjury. I mean, you can no, there's no. That's why you do it in front of a solicitor, right? Because if it's it's legal consequences. If you're lying, if it's a sworn affidavit or a signed, no, there can be legal consequences, I think, right? No, isn't that right? It's perjury is the right word?
I think it's in terms of court.
If it's going to be a court
If it could be admissible in a court, then
Anyway.
whatever. That's the point. But that's the point. The point is that in the event that there's a piece of paper that says the witnesses say in the document that he told us to write that he received X, Y, Z, but it could be he didn't. It could be that's not evidence. He's just afraid. He told him to write that because he was scared. In that case, the cousin doesn't get it back. That's it, right? That's the point. So we will continue. I'm not sure you have our next week. We've got a wedding, but it could be we can still do it. We will publicize through the normal channels. Have a very good evening.